Well, as I've been cleaning up the old fence lines on the property, I've been getting lots of just brush piles. I've got about 4 big ones now, and I still got a lot left to clean up. It's just taking too long to rot. I really need some decent soil amendment, so I'm going to try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And I made this burn pit for producing charcoal. It's about 16 foot long, 3.5, almost 4 foot wide. I tapered the end so you could walk right down into it if needed. But I'm going to be bringing my brush here that I've been cutting down over the past few years, and I'm going to start piling it up in here to burn. And I'm hoping that I can get the older dried stuff burning hot enough that when I put the green materials I'm cutting recently here on top, it'll catch and burn, and this pit will just fill up with charcoal. All right, well, I finished up my first burn. Had to dig it out some with the backhoe because there's a mess of fencing wire and T-post mixed in there that I'd put on that had all kinds of stuff growing up in it. These are I'm going to moving over to my scrap pile, unless there's a couple straight ones in there, but I don't think there are. And I've just been working on chucking the unburnt wood back in. It's starting to relight down there. But we're fixing to get a storm, so I don't expect it's going to burn for very long. I mounted this thing up to about 6 foot, I think about 6 times. It burnt quick. I was feeding it with my grapple bucket, one big old scoop at a time. I ended up cleaning up all the stuff I fixed up there in that corner where all those rabbits are. I went and scooped up all the stumps and the brush I'd cut down out of the ditch, cleaning that up. I like seeing the rabbits. And way back in that pasture there, I'd trim the lower limbs off that giant cedar tree. And I'd started cutting down the overgrowth on the fence line that you can't see. It's behind the house over there to the right. And once I got the fire lit, I started bringing over all that green stuff and I put it on. And like I said, when I got more of the brush from over there, I got that pile knocked down completely. All that's left is the few sticks that fell off when I was bringing it over here. It worked out great. When I was done, I actually topped it off with several small stumps that still had dirt on them. They were wet. There's one that's left right there, and that it didn't completely put the fire out, but it smoldered it really good. And the moisture from those wet stumps and the clay as it came off actually broke the charcoal up really nicely and real fine. So I'm not going to have to end up running this through a chipper. I'm just going to probably just run this through my compost tumbler. I'm going to get it good and damp first. But this is a pretty decent final product. I can't stick my hand in it right now because I'll get steamed, because while it's out, it's still quite hot. But yeah, that's looking good. This looks like it's going to be a good way for me to get rid of my other brush piles. I can't plant this straight because I'm pretty sure it's going to be too alkaline. But as a good amendment to my highly acidic soil, I think this is going to help a lot. And this really didn't cost me anything. And this charcoal, the carbon in it, there's nothing really that's going to break it down other than frost. But it's going to make a home for fungi and bacteria. And it's just going to help keep the soil alive and help improve the drainage. And so it's going to stay in the soil as a carbon source for, hundreds of years. So that's going to be a good benefit. Normally when I add compost to the soil, it burns off by the time the summer's through. So this should stick around. If I add some compost to this and just tilt into my regular garden soil here, this ought to work out great. I'm going to go ahead and get some of this sifted out and line the pathways of the garden with it, so that as we're walking through the garden this year, we'll actually trample some of that charcoal and break it down even further. And I can help use it to suppress the weeds in there. Now, you can see these little balls of clay here. The fire got hot enough in there that it actually ceramitized some of the clay. So now also mixed in there is a bunch of little ceramic shards. They break apart pretty easy because it's just like earthenware. Of course, there's no temp or anything mixed in it. It's not going to hold together. So that's just going to add to the porosity of the soil and help to hold moisture. So yeah, so far it's been a good experiment. All right, well, it's been a couple of days. This is cooled now. I'd end up throwing in yet another big stump down there, and it mostly burnt. But now I gotta get all this sifted, and I thought about it for a while, and I didn't really want to use the compost trommel sifter, because that'd mean I'd have to scoop all this one scoop at a time. So I got to thinking, I have this little old trailer here I made for my old potato digger. It's now dysfunctional for catching the potatoes and any rocks as it dug them up. Well, since I ain't using it for the potato digger anymore, and it worked good enough for sifting those out, and that's really the kind of size stuff I want to get rid of, I thought, well, what if I just put it inside my little lawnmower trailer and prop it up at an angle and just dump it in with my backhoe. I already did one load with a shovel, and it seems to work great. It sifts through really quickly. It catches anything that'll be big enough to damage my tiller. And now I'm going to give it a try with the backhoe and see how that goes, because this is a lot. This is a lot of charcoal, and there's a little bit of soil in there, but it's mostly charcoal. I ended up dumping a little over the edge, but it'll be all right. I got a full cart full. It's nice and loose, fine pieces. There's still some bits of what would have been rotten wood that just didn't burn. But as you can see, it's going to break down real easy. That's just going to add more organic matter to the soil. But yeah. All right. This is the first rain after putting down our biochar, charcoal, whatever you want to call it, that I burned in that burn pit. This is the first rain after it, and I want to see what effect it has had on the garden already. Now, there isn't any right here. You can see the soil's damp, but it's hard, not very friable, and it's still sticky. So let's see what effect this has had here on our rows. You can see, now we didn't lay it down that thick. That's not all charcoal. That's what it's already done from soaking in to my clay soil. See how nice and loose that is now? Now when the rain is fully over, the reason why I'm recording this now is I plan on going down these rows with my tiller to stir this in, to get a little bit deeper in. I'm only going to till, oh, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 inches deep, just to mix it in down a little bit more than 2 inches that we have up top here. And I'm going to continue my burns and keep adding to it a little at a time, mostly here in the Mills row. I did sprinkle a little bit on the top sides of the rows here, not as much, and it's having some effect there, but I'm leery about adding too much at one time because it's going to change the pH of the soil, and I don't want to end up poisoning my soil, making it too alkaline by adding too much at one time. But early this year when I built these hills, I actually dug out all the soil I had tilled, and so this was all hard pan. That was just hard solid clay. I'll see if I can do a cut-in from a video I did earlier this year where you can see all the cracks in the hard clay when it dried up. Just to show you what I was dealing with when I started this process. Now I'm liking the results of this. It's not really taking that much to improve the soil, and so I think with that burn pit I can actually just sprinkle this in a light layer on different parts of the yard where nothing really wants to grow. And with that first rain, you can see how deep that goes there now. If I can get my topsoil just that deep in places where nothing will grow, I'll be a happy camper. That means I'll have grass growing, and that'll help stop or at least slow down my soil erosion. So I just wanted to show you just how much effect it has had with just a little. And this is just the first rain we had last night, and it soaked down just that little bit. But I'm gonna keep it up. I'm gonna keep doing it because I think this is effective. So till next time, thanks for watching.